It's Friday, August 15th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. More wildfires in the region. The Annapolis County fire has forced more people from their homes. A whale carcass washed up on a popular beach, posing all kinds of problems.
All of rain amounts from the past few days and an update on Hurricane Erin.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. 11 wildfires continue to burn in Nova Scotia at this hour, with one out of control. That's in Annapolis County, now over 400 hectares in size. It sparked further evacuations, forcing more people from their homes. In Halifax, on the other hand, the fire is nearly under control. CTV's Callum Smith reports.
The fire behind Bears Lake is still being held. No smoke was easily visible today, and it was business as usual in the shopping plaza. The local health center also reopened for the first time since evacuating on Monday, when the scene looked a lot different.
That fire is winding down, which is good. It's not there yet, but it's getting there.
However, the province's largest fire is still out of control, sparked by lightning in Annapolis County, growing from 300 to over 400 hectares.
The possibility of growth is definitely there. We're going to move on this as aggressively as we can because conditions have proved a little bit in regards to our spread rates.
Thunder and lightning prevented out-of-province water bombers from assisting last night. The rainfall not enough to make a difference, and have crews watching closely.
That lightning is now in the ground somewhere and waiting to pop up. So we expect the next day or two, maybe even 3 days, to be getting some more lightning starts. 107
homes are now evacuated, according to Annapolis County officials, and crews are trying to keep those houses safe, but it's too soon to say when evacuation orders could be lifted.
About the last day and a half, we've had some relatively extreme fire behavior. Our flame lengths were quite high, which is an indicator to basically how dangerous the situation is that our crews were dealing with on the ground.
Firefighters going to great lengths.
Sometimes you're crawling around on your hands and knees, feeling the ground with your hands, looking for areas of concern.
The firefighters that were sent to New Brunswick are coming home this weekend to help fight the fires and challenging conditions.
One small change in the wildfire environment can change everything.
The province says since July 30th, 12 burn ban fines have been issued, and in the last 10 days, 7 people have been fined for violating the woods ban. All these charges come at a cost of $25,000. Meanwhile, RCMP and Cumberland County are looking for video and witnesses to several suspicious fires that sparked in the Oxford area on Wednesday. Officials say the situation across the province right now is, quote, relatively explosive. Todd.
All right, Callum Smith starting us off in Halifax. Thank you. Now, in New Brunswick, 23 wildfires are burning, 6 of those out of control, including the stubborn Miramichi fire. Officials provided an update today. CTV's Avery McRae was there.
There are 23 forest fires currently burning in New Brunswick, but the biggest remains just outside Miramichi at over 1,400 hectares. In an update from New Brunswick's Natural Resources Minister, many of the new fires are in the northern part of the province and are a result of lightning strikes back-to-back nights.
Those lightning strikes may hit the forest floor and smolder, and we may not see its evolution of it becoming a fire for a couple of days later.
No residents are currently on evacuation advisories, but the minister advises those living near fires to be prepared and stay indoors as much as possible due to poor air quality. While Crown lands remain closed to the public as a mitigation effort, some industries that work in the fields and forests will return to work under strict protocols.
We're doing this to minimize the economic impacts and support workers with the added precaution of enhanced fire equipment and site monitoring requirements.
There are 6 out-of-control fires at this time, but the minister says only 3 are of note, including Oldfield and the Irishtown fire just north of Moncton, which is contained and working towards being under control.
Now it's digging in the roots because the fire is still burning underground. So now we got to get all those, even if you don't see smoke, there's still fire. So now it's a lot of hard work left. So we're there till early next week for sure.
Over the past few days, Premier Susan Holt has visited firefighters on the the ground and praises their efforts.
A lot of people worked a lot of hours away from their family in extreme heat and extremely challenging circumstances, but they protected New Brunswickers' lives and homes and our community, and I am deeply grateful for their work.
Work that is far from over in challenging conditions. Looking ahead to the weekend weather when it comes to the firefighting efforts, Todd, the minister says the wind looks favorable tomorrow, particularly when it comes to fighting the Oldfield fire. But there's still a sense of cautious optimism among officials. Todd?
That's something we haven't had a whole lot of. Ava McRae at the legislature. Thank you. All right, let's bring in Kaylin Mitchell now in the Weather Center. And we heard a lot about lightning strikes. There was a bit of rain, but it sounds like the lightning might have been a bigger issue.
Yeah, I mean, if we could have had the rain without the lightning, that would have been the best case scenario. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way for us. And also unfortunate that the higher rainfall amounts weren't a little bit more widespread around the Maritimes. But it kind of played out as expected. This weather front moving in from the west brought more showery conditions with locally higher rainfall totals, basically only where a thunderstorm moved directly over. That's showing here from the rainfall reports for a few areas in New Brunswick, including around St. Stephen in the southwest. That thunderstorm yesterday evening bringing in about 23 millimeters of rain in a short period of time. Some areas in Nova Scotia where some thunderstorms went directly over last night reported some rainfall totals between 20 and 40 millimeters. The big standout, though, is eastern Prince Edward Island, where some severe thunderstorms brought in some rainfall amounts well in excess of 50 millimeters within a short period of time, including Glencoe, which reported 77 millimeters of rain. That's a lot, and especially with those type of thunderstorms, it increases the risk of things such as flash flooding. But you can see for much of the rest of the Maritimes, though, in more showery conditions, rainfall amounts, range from as little as around 1 millimeter, maybe between 2 and 8 millimeters, and that was about it. The weather system coming in on Sunday, by the way, looking very similar to that one that went through again Wednesday into Thursday. Currently, though, we're back to dry conditions around the region. It's an area of high pressure that's built in from the west. It's going to be in place for not only tonight, but also for Saturday, so dry through that period of time. And then we've got this weather front that's now making its way over northern Ontario. That'll be the front that brings in the next round of showers at the end of the weekend. So taking a look at potential rainfall amounts for that next weather system, it's going to look a lot like the one that just went through, in that in a lot of cases, in more showery conditions, could be lucky to pick up a few to several millimeters of rain. And areas that see higher rainfall amounts, 10 to 30 millimeters, it's mostly going to be localized because of the presence of some downpours and thunderstorms. Now, the showers, the risk of thunderstorms will be developing through the day on Sunday for New Brunswick, with the showers likely reaching Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia Sunday evening and Sunday night. Next week, Todd, when I come back with the long-range forecast, looking pretty dry as well. We could still use much more rain in the region.
Kaylin, the ground is so hard now that a lot of that would just be running off and not soaking in.
Yeah, I mean, that can happen for sure, but at this point in time, I mean, any sort of wet weather we get be beneficial, runoff or not.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you for that forecast in about 16 minutes. Air Canada, as it said it would, started cutting flights today, 264 in fact, as part of a planned strike and lockout. Maritimers expecting to travel are nervously watching events, so we sent CTV's Derek Haggett to the airport.
There weren't widespread cancellations at the airport in Halifax today, but there were enough to frustrate travelers trying to get back home. Some hoping to leave early to avoid a work stoppage.
They're telling us our flight is at 5. And then they're also telling us that there is no flight and that we're going home Wednesday. So we will likely have to rent a car and drive back to Ontario.
Over 10,000 flight attendants with Air Canada could walk off the job tomorrow. A company-imposed lockout might follow if the airline and its employees can't reach a last-minute deal. Around 500 flights scheduled for today were canceled. A full halt over the weekend? A very real possibility.
By tomorrow, if this strike goes ahead, we will see a full shutdown of Air Canada's mainline network, which would involve any Air Canada or Air Canada Rouge branded flights.
There was only one Air Canada flight canceled at the airport in Dieppe this afternoon, but that could change in a hurry. Members of the union that include baggage handlers, maintenance and ground staff are visiting maritime airports to ease fears.
There's a lot of confusion, but we're here to assure them that that things will be okay on their side, and that we support QP and their fight for a good, fair collective agreement.
This man did make it from Whitehorse to Moncton, but his baggage didn't.
I am frustrated, and I'm frustrated with the not with the employees of Air Canada. They're doing their best with what they're up against.
And for those up in the air about a flight home?
We're trying to assume the worst, so we're not too disappointed. It is what it is.
I spoke with a handful of Air Canada passengers here at the airport today. Most of them told me that so far, they haven't been impacted or inconvenienced by a potential strike in any way. Todd.
Well, they're certainly the lucky ones, aren't they? Derek Haggett at Romeo LeBlanc Airport in Dieppe. Thank you, Derek. Okay, let's make this a CTV web poll. We are asking this question. Are you changing your travel plans due to the Air Canada labor dispute? And your options are yes, I'm booking with another airline. No, I'm sticking with Air Canada. I'm waiting to see what happens, or it just doesn't affect me. We'd like to hear from you at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. There's been another delay in the case of a 20-year-old woman accused of stabbing a 6-year-old boy. She's now looking for a new lawyer. Elliot Chorney is accused of attempted murder and possession of a weapon dangerous to public peace. Police allege she stabbed a boy she didn't know at a bus stop on Barrington Street in downtown Halifax in February. The boy suffered life-threatening injuries, but was later reported to be in stable condition. Court was told there was a breakdown between Chorney and her legal aid lawyer, but no other details were shared.
I made application to be removed as a result of breakdown, and that's all I can say in that regard.
We have a family of the victim here who are anxious to see this matter resolved. Any kind of delay in this matter is not of any assistance to the family and the healing that they need to go through as a result of this. So even just on behalf of the victim's family, we want to see this matter resolved as quickly as we can.
2 psychiatric reports were previously ordered for Chorney. The case that garnered so much public reaction has been set over to August 27th. A teen has been charged in that assault in St. John we told you about earlier this week. It happened Tuesday evening in the city's uptown. A group of youths attacked a man before others got involved. A window was smashed and irritant spray was used. Yesterday, a 17-year-old boy was arrested and charged with assault with a weapon and failure to comply with a youth sentence. He appeared in court this morning and will return to court at a later date. Our website has details of a 2-vehicle crash that closed a highway in Coquin, New Brunswick overnight, and our report is at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. There's been quite a spectacle on display at a Halifax area beach. Not a particularly pleasant sight, mind you. Still, it is attracting the curious. But as CTV's Emma Convey reports, for locals, it poses some problems.
No one is advised to move a whale out to sea, but locals feel they don't have another choice. Typically, this is the kind of thing that the Department of Natural Resources would take care of, but they are tied up with wildfires.
The problem at the moment is that right now we are on Crown land, so this is provincial jurisdiction. And of course, as everyone knows and should appreciate, the Department of Natural Resources is very busy fighting fires to save property and lives.
The Marine Animal Response Society received a call on Tuesday that an animal was both beached and floating in Cow Bay. When they arrived Wednesday morning, they learned it was a humpback and in an advanced state of decomposition.
When there's a carcass, we do, often if it's small, we try to pick it up. If it's large, we'll work with authorities to study it, but they have to be in good condition for the work that we do. And unfortunately, this animal isn't.
It's believed to be the same floating whale they got reports about a week or so ago, just off Halifax Harbor. But this is the closest they have been to it.
You just get emotional a little bit, just actually seeing it. I mean, I've never been this close. Whale watching and whatnot, but they're way off in the distance.
And it smells like fish.
Somebody's going to have to drag him out and dispose of him because it's going to get, pretty smelly.
Natural Resources says Public Works is handling this while they focus on wildfires.
The issue is it has been floating for about a week, and so it's not really until it hit land was it a concern for disposal. And so that's just a conversation that obviously they need to have between departments.
But for those who live nearby, they don't care who's responsible, they just want it gone.
Shark attraction and just general water activity attraction, and there's actually shark bites all over it. This thing is just going to take months and months to decay fully.
And if the province isn't going to get rid of it, the community will.
All of the community here are happy to help. We just don't have the boat or the gear necessarily to do it.
Believe this, late this afternoon, we were told someone used their jet ski to tow the whale out to sea. Meanwhile, Public Works says they're sending a team to the site. Todd.
Someone attached, they attached a rope to the whale to their jet ski?
That's my understanding. Regardless, it's being towed out to sea.
I wish we had some pictures of that. We will have to find some. Okay, Emma, that is quite a tale. Thank you for joining us in the newsroom tonight. That is a good point, perhaps, to take our first break on this Friday evening. Still to come, sunshine and high temperatures to get the weekend started. Caleb returns with his full forecast, but next.
I want certain things. I want to see a ceasefire.
The much-anticipated summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin has begun.
The Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
High-stakes talks on Ukraine took place in Alaska today. U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin met for their first face-to-face meeting since 2019, though expectations for a resolution in the conflict not high. NBC's Jay Gray has the latest.
President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin on the ground in Anchorage for what the Kremlin says could be 6 to 7 hours of negotiations behind the gates of Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson.
There's nothing set in stone. I want certain things. I want to see a ceasefire.
The president defining his role in this summit during the 7-hour flight from Washington.
I'm not here to negotiate for Ukraine. I'm here to get them at a table, and I think you have two sides. Look, Vladimir Putin wanted to take all of Ukraine. If I wasn't president, he would right now be taking all of Ukraine. But he's not going to do it.
Adding that he will, quote, walk if the talks aren't going well, while some say regardless of the outcome, this meeting is already a win for Putin.
Already, he's meeting with the president in the United States, and that photo op is already a big achievement for him. What happens after that, I think, is secondary for President Putin. He is in no hurry to do a deal on Ukraine.
Both leaders agree this meeting will not end the war in Ukraine, but President Trump demanding a pause in the fighting, again threatening severe economic sanctions if there's no ceasefire, as protesters gather in the host city, many angry that talks are taking place at all.
Two felons, a war criminal and a convicted felon. Why are they coming here, embarrassing our state?
Even as President Trump suggests there could be a second summit here that would include Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, left out of today's meeting. Jay Gray, NBC News, Anchorage.
Robert Hewish is an international development analyst and professor at Dalhousie University. Robert, Trump and Putin in Alaska. Look, before a word is even spoken, is this already a win for Vladimir Putin?
I think so. I mean, right now, you've got Vladimir Putin getting in the back of the presidential limo with Donald Trump. It looks very much like they're going off to a prom date in that regard. But in the sense that the mannerisms, the symbolism has already been set up here, this is a warmer reception that Vladimir Putin is getting from Donald Trump than Volodymyr Zelensky ever did in the past. Yeah. So right now, as these discussions go underway, it would seem that not only is Putin in a strong position, he's in very welcoming arms.
Look, without Ukraine at the table, is this a non-starter?
It's something, Todd, I think we should pay really careful attention to where this is taking place. The fact that it's in Alaska, which historically, I mean, back in the 1700s, was Russian territory. This is symbolic to show that territories can change, that maps can change, that areas of land can be ceded through cession or agreement. And I believe that's something that will come out of these discussions, is that there will be the request for Russia to keep the territories it has claimed right now in Ukraine. And the fact that Ukraine is not there, this is not a neutral assembly. This is clearly plans being made by two strong men who think that they're quite savvy and who really do plan to change the political geography of Europe, if not the world, from this meeting.
Putin, it's no secret, wants to reassemble the Soviet Union. Ukraine is vital to that. Is it naive for anyone to think that he would back down or acquiesce any territory?
The one force of power that the Russians and Putin himself still fear is the United States. The United States military is one that has the upper hand over Russia. And so if the commander-in-chief sort of gives in to these requests to say that things like territorial acquisition will be accepted and that this is going to be terms for treaty, then there's nothing to really stop Putin for going forward with more aggressive action. His own people inside of Russia have praised, many people have praised the war, saying that it's actually improved their economy, even now their own internal inflation is starting to scatter up higher. But there's a lot of support for Putin inside, despite the costs and consequences that have gone onto the Russian people and the absolute tragedies that have been inflicted on the people of Ukraine as well.
Is Trump being played by a former KGB agent?
He's certainly, Putin seems to be the one person that Trump gives a clear pass to for everything. If you are a political opponent to Trump, you can expect hails of insults. If you are a left-leaning university, you can expect being defunded. If you are any of the opponents to Trump, you can expect some sort of punishment, except from Putin. Putin seems to be able to get away with all of it. And not only that, Trump admires Putin's style. So what we're going to see here, and what I hope isn't the case, is potentially that fringe into an international order that no longer participates in international laws. It is completely illegal for one country to take over territory of another country through force. And if these two, as they are right now, or as they were in the back of the presidential limo, having a good time and laughing, this could spell a really dangerous path for international affairs in the future.
It will be a very short meeting. It will be analyzed for days, and we certainly appreciate you contributing to us tonight.
Thanks so much, Todd.
Robert Hewers from Dalhousie University. We'll take a break. We'll be back in just a moment. I want to tell you about an incident now that has upset and confused people in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia, where a monument was tampered with at the height of the day. CTV's Vanessa Wright reports.
There were only smiles and happy faces today at Afrocentric Heritage Park in New Glasgow as people gathered at the sacred monument for a homecoming celebrated every 5 years. People with ties to the area returned to meet with family and friends. But it comes on the heels of what some refer to as a bizarre incident just days before. Bystander video appears to show a man allegedly using the monument to dry his clothes and quilts. The video shows community members confronting him and trying to explain its historic significance.
He disregarded that, and he was more worried about people touching his quilts. He said he didn't want anyone touching it. And when a community member told him, like, no, you need to take it down, you need to take it down now, he did say, if you touch my stuff, I will hit you.
Wayne Desmond says he witnessed it all unfold, including when police tried to intervene.
He disregarded Constable Desmond, and he just continued on saying, leave my stuff there, don't touch my stuff. If you touch my stuff, it's assault.
New Glasgow Regional Police refused an on-camera interview, but in a statement to CTV News said, upon arrival, officers identified a group of individuals engaged in a dispute regarding the appropriate and acceptable use of the historic space. Police assisted in de-escalating the situation.
You know, it's hard to imagine this would happen. And then when it's in your community, you are even more discouraged and disappointed.
The community hasn't let the incident affect their week-long celebrations, but it's one that Desmond says people here don't take lightly.
When we have interpretive panels up there that explain the history and explain, and a smaller monument up there that is in honor, I said, the people of this community and the children to come, and you ignore that, it just shows that we have a big problem that we still need to address that is drenched in systemic racism, anti-Black racism.
Todd, New Glasgow police say at this time no charges are anticipated, but that bystander Wayne Desmond says he agrees, but perhaps the town could look at other ways to deal with the situation many felt was inappropriate, perhaps a fine as a deterrent. Todd.
CTV's Vanessa Wright for us in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia this evening. All right, we're going to turn our attention now to the weather. Let's bring in Kaylin Mitchell. Lots to talk about. Let's get right to it.
And we'll start by taking a quick look at weather conditions across the country. You know, one part of the country that is seeing a significant rainfall is the south coast of BC. In fact, enough that some rainfall warnings have been put into effect, with heavy rain expected to continue into the nighttime hours. It's raining right now at both Vancouver and Victoria. They're also seeing some rain in parts of the prairies, as well as some milder temperatures. Edmonton right now, rain being reported, sitting at 11 degrees, 18 at Regina, and 21 at Winnipeg. There's still some heat bottled up in southern Ontario, and actually even parts of northern Ontario. Thunder Bay right now sitting at 30 degrees, 28 at Ottawa, 27 at Montreal. It's warm here in the Maritimes. It's got 26 at Fredericton, 24 at Halifax, and 20 at Charlottetown, 20 and some rain being reported at St. John's in Newfoundland. Taking a look at our forecast timeline for cloud cover and precipitation with high pressure in place, not much of either of those expected as we move through tonight into the start of the day. For tomorrow, very clear conditions tonight. Lots of sunshine in Saturday's forecast. Looking very clear as we move into Saturday evening and night with that high pressure still in place. And then on Sunday, we see those changes that we talked about earlier. Showers developing during the day for New Brunswick, accompanied by a risk of thunderstorms. Some of those showers likely to appear for Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia Sunday evening and night. Winds in the forecast for tomorrow, variable in direction around the Maritimes, mostly on the lighter side, though, sustained between 10 and 20 kilometers per hour. Most low temperatures tonight for the region will be falling into a range of around the high single digits into the low teens. A few areas of Cape Breton and parts of the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia with lows of around the mid-teens. In northern New Brunswick for tomorrow, high temperatures between 25 and 29 degrees. And we're also looking at mid to high 20s for central and southern parts of that province. Prince Edward Island on Saturday with high temperatures mostly between 20 and 24 degrees underneath a sunny sky. And in eastern areas of Nova Scotia, it's low to mid-20s in the forecast, so 21 to 25 degrees. Northern and central parts of the province can expect high temperatures mostly between 24 and 27. The Annapolis Valley tomorrow with high temperatures around the mid-20s, 24 at Digby. And on the south shore of Nova Scotia, high temperatures between 23 and 26. In the 7-day outlook for New Brunswick, showers with the risk of thunderstorms on Sunday. Cool to milder summer temperatures throughout much of next week. But again, look at that stretch of days right now. No real significant rain chances through them. Most days either sunny or featuring a mix of sun and clouds. So we'd like to see some change in that long-range forecast. More wet weather show up. For Nova Scotia, showers expected Sunday night, followed by clearing conditions on Monday. High temperatures next week look like they'll range mostly from the high teens through the low 20s. Mix of sun and cloud on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast, showers with a risk of thunderstorms Sunday evening and night. Clearing conditions on Monday. Temperatures cooler, though, by summer standards. Highs near 18 on both Monday and Tuesday. Low 20s expected after that on both Wednesday and Thursday, Todd.
That is a long stretch of sunshine. You've been eyeing Tropical Storm Erin.
Yes.
Now a hurricane.
That's right.
Our first of 2025.
And likely to be the first major hurricane of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season as well. It's approaching the Leeward Islands of the Caribbean, those are the outermost islands there, but it is expected to move northwest of those island chains and northwest of Puerto Rico as we go through the weekend forecast, coming up to a Category 3 and then eventually potentially a major Category 4 hurricane. Now, in this long-range track, and this is as far out as it goes from the National Hurricane Center, you can see that we're not in the vicinity of the forecast cone yet here in the Maritimes or Atlantic Canada. It's still too early to tell whether or not this weather system is eventually going to have any sort of weather impact on us. In longer-range guidance that extends beyond this cone, that's looking less likely as the storm is expected to take a sharp turn from the north towards the east, potentially passing outside of Sable Island. However, if it does take a meandering path that brings it further towards the west, say a little bit closer towards the eastern coastline of the United States, that would make it a bigger concern for us. We're going to get a better idea of its track once it turns up towards the north, Todd, probably by the end of this weekend and certainly by Monday.
Are we in a blocking high? Like, is this all this heat we're having enough to...
It's not a blocking high because the weather systems are progressing through, but there is an area of high pressure moving through, of course, today into tomorrow. Yeah. But then that's followed by another weather front moving in from the west. That's the one that's bringing in showers right now. So there is a pretty good progression right now of weather systems moving from west towards east. And if we stay into that next week, that could also encourage the eastward turn, the quicker eastward turn with this weather system, which will work in our favor.
Okay, we will hope for that. We know you'll be watching it. We'll talk about it next week. Next, something much lighter. We'll head to the movies with Richard Krause. Get out of the heat and into the cinema. There's lots on offer this weekend. We're joined by CTV film critic Richard Krause to help us pick the winners. And we've got 4 films. There's a couple winners, right? There might be.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
There are, yeah.
All right. So let's jump right into it. The first one is Spike Lee and his muse, Denzel Washington. This is a look at highest to lowest. Spike still got it?
He does. And this is an interesting film because it's kind of uneven. Like the title suggests, there are highs and there are lows in this film. The first hour, a little bit melodramatic, but at the center of it all is Denzel Washington. So how bad can it really be? So he plays a music mogul who is working on a couple of fronts here. I don't want to give anything much away, but there's a kidnapping plot that he becomes involved in, trying to protect friends and family, and it requires a lot of money for a ransom. That money that he might be attempting to use to save his record label, which is his legacy product. It's the thing that made him wealthy. It's the thing that made him famous, and someone is trying to buy it now, and he's trying to keep it from being sold. So there's a lot of that happening in the first hour. Second hour turns into more of a crime drama, and it gives us that signature Spike Lee adrenaline that you want from this. But you also get Denzel Washington, who, after I don't know, 50 movies, maybe 60 movies in a decades-long career, delivers a performance that features stuff that I've never seen him do before. And that is remarkable. I loved watching Denzel Washington in this movie. You're seeing a lion in winter, still filled with surprises. So this is a recommend from me, particularly if you're a Spike Lee and Denzel Washington fan. In theaters now on Apple TV Plus on September 5th.
Okay, and it's got Jeffrey Wright, who can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. And like Woody Allen, I won't take too much time here, but like Woody Allen, Spike Lee always has a bit of a love letter to New York City in this, in his films, right? Yeah.
Looks absolutely fantastic in this movie.
Okay. Our next offering is Nobody 2. Nobody seems to be somebody. He's taking the family on vacation. Here's a look.
I understand protecting your sister, but there are other ways to handle things. I left my phone.
What? No!
I like your way better.
I know Bob Odenkirk, who's in the lead here, is having a moment, but he really is perfect for this type of role. A tough guy, but at the same time, the doting dad. How does this one shape up?
Well, I liked the first Nobody that came out 4 years ago a lot because it was such a surprise. Bob Odenkirk, we knew him from Better Call Saul. We knew him from Breaking Bad, maybe The Mr. Show when it was more comedic. And in this film, or in that film rather, he played an everyman, just someone that you would see at the cafe or taking the garbage out in the morning, whatever. An average, ordinary guy, or in the parlance of the film, a nobody, who happened to also be a highly trained assassin for the CIA. He's back working at his chosen field, which is killing people, again in this movie, in number 2, but he needs a break. He needs a vacation. He takes the whole family to an amusement park, which of course turns out to be a hotbed of criminal activity. And he has to jump back in with both feet and 2 fists flying. And the thing about this movie is, because we know that the nobody, Hutch Mansell, played by Bob Odenkirk, is now a somebody, we know that he's an assassin. We know all the stuff. We know what to expect. And it makes this movie just a little bit less fun than the first one, because that central surprise, that great moment on the bus when he first breaks out all his deadly fighting moves in the first movie, we don't get that rush in Nobody 2. Still, it's a pretty fun time waster on a hot, summer day.
Time waster. He looks a little like Chuck Norris with the beard. Okay, our next one is Americana. That's a term that we now use for what used to be called country music. It's the title of a Western romp, and here's a look.
Why do you want it?
I would prefer it to be in the hands of someone such as myself who could actually appreciate it. If someone were to make an effort to liberate that garment, I would pay
$500,000, really.
That's what the man said.
An homage to Quentin Tarantino, the Coen brothers. I don't know, it's kind of got that feel.
A little bit. This put me in the mind of those early to mid-90s quirky crime dramas where you had a big ensemble cast of unusual characters who were generally drawn around one singular mission. In this case, it's an indigenous artifact that's been stolen. It's worth a lot of money, and there are a great many people who want to get their hands on it, including Sydney Sweeney, who is one of the stars here, and Halsey, the pop singer, in her feature film acting debut. And I got to tell you, she's so good in this that if she decided to put down the microphone, she could have a really credible acting career as well. She really pulls it off here. So it's called Americana, and it's in theaters right now.
Okay, and finally, sort of keeping with the theme, this is one for the music lovers. We have a scene from It's Never Over, Jeff Buckley.
Fans to think of you. Just the music. Because when I'm dead, that's the only thing that'll be around. I mean, he was literally the best singer I've ever heard.
So he's legendary, right? He's a towering figure in music. Musicians love to talk about Jeff Buckley, but we don't know a lot about him. Does this shed some light?
Well, his father was Tim Buckley, who was a famous musician before he passed away in his 20s in the 1970s. Jeff Buckley, the subject of this documentary, only met his father once, but followed in his footsteps as a musician, worked his way up through the coffee houses of Greenwich Village, all that kind of thing, before making a movie or a record called Grace in 1994. And Grace is an album that David Bowie said is one of the 10 records he would take to a desert island. When it came out, Bob Dylan called Jeff Buckley one of the great songwriters of the decade. Unfortunately, he passed away at age 30 in 1994 without making a follow-up. So there's been a number of live compilations that have been released, but his one studio album, Grace, remains just that, his one and only proper studio album. But it's a thing of beauty. And if you don't know his music, you probably do know his version of Hallelujah, which is probably the second most played version of that song next to Leonard Cohen's original. And it's a beautiful thing, and he was an amazing singer, and this is a really lovely look at his life.
A nice homage. Okay, Richard Krause, thank you very much. Happy viewing. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
And we'll see you right after this. I want to report some news that's just come into our newsroom right now. The Department of Natural Resources in Nova Scotia is telling us one of its helicopters has crashed in shallow water. This happened just before 4:30 this afternoon while working on the Long Lake wildfires. That's in Annapolis County down around West Dalhousie. The pilot, we're told, was conscious and talking with firefighters who quickly reached the aircraft. By 6 o'clock, he was rescued from his aircraft, from the helicopter, and taken for a medical assessment. The department is not releasing his name at this point. We are told the department, the Transportation Canada, will investigate this crash as it does with all similar aircraft crashes. If we get any more details by the end of showtime, we'll certainly have that for you. If not, Bruce Briscoe will have that. We'll also do an update on our website. All right, let's turn our attention now to our health report. Back to school can mean changes in routine, of course, especially for parents who find themselves with an empty home. And this can cause a shift in their mental health. CTV's Brianne Foley has more in tonight's edition of The Lifeline.
The mental stress of back to school can come for both students and parents. If your child is leaving home for college or to start a job, there can be feelings of sadness, loss, and even depression. Experts call this empty nest syndrome.
Researchers at the Cleveland Clinic say it's not an official diagnosis, but can affect day-to-day activities. Clinical psychologists stress keeping in communication with your children when they've left home with healthy boundaries, like setting a time to talk to them, but also stress creating new routines, including new activities to combat the loneliness.
It can trigger a wide range of emotions, everything from pride and joy to loneliness and grief. Remember that it is not just about filling your time, but finding things that give you a sense of purpose.
This runner is going the distance when it comes to mental health. Long-distance runner Stach Laddie is currently on a cross-country run. He has covered more than 2,000 kilometers so far. Each day is about 50 kilometers, or basically an ultra-marathon. The goal is to raise $1 million for mental health initiatives across the country. The trek began June 16th in Victoria, BC. More than 1,000 people have run with him so far. Researchers at Ohio State University are developing a tool that uses artificial intelligence to help breast cancer patients. The goal is to study tumors more thoroughly to determine the best course of treatment. They're developing a tool that uses AI to look at images of tumors that could be missed by the naked eye, that would detect patterns of who would respond to standard therapy. With health and medical news, I'm Brianne Foley for The Lifeline.
With Aaron and Peter. 60 seconds, 10 questions. If you can pull that off, you're going to win a grand.
Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for the $1,000 Minute.
Time for the wake-up weather. Kaylin, looks like a nice evening.
Yeah, it's warm and clear out here right now. I want to take us to our viewer picture for tonight. And our picture for tonight is coming in from Annapolis County and does feature the smoke from the Annapolis County wildfire there in the background. This was sent in by Roseanne Nicholson. I want to thank Roseanne very much for taking the time to send in the picture. And just ahead of that, in the field, you can just notice it looks very, very dry. And Roseanne noted that this is the driest condition she can remember in quite some time. So this is coming in again from Clarence, Nova Scotia, where in the forecast for tomorrow, it's going to be sunny, and the high temperature will be near 26 degrees, looking at Sunday evening and night before the next chance of showers in the area. Day planner for tomorrow for all three maritime provinces. Morning starts off maybe with a little bit of a fresh feel to the air, because the morning temperatures, early morning that is, will be around the high single digits and low teens. But with high pressure in place and all the sunshine expected throughout the day, the temperature is going to come up quite quickly moving into and through the afternoon. So a lot of high temperatures tomorrow in the Maritimes, so actually be up to around the mid to high 20s, with the exception of some coastal areas, which will mostly have high temperatures in the range of around 21 to 25 degrees. Winds variable in direction for tomorrow. Should be a little bit lighter than today, though, so hopefully that's a little bit of good news for fighting some of those wildfires around the region. They'll be sustained in a lot of cases 10 to 20 kilometers per hour. There might be a few occasional gusts getting up between 20 and 30. After that, as we mentioned, for Sunday, that's our next chance of seeing some wet weather in the region. Showers with the risk of thunderstorms developing in New Brunswick through the day, with the higher chance of some of those showers reaching PEI and Nova Scotia later Sunday evening and Sunday night. Todd.
Can certainly use it. Thank you, Kaylin. It's been a long week for you, I know, and we'll see you on Monday.
Yeah.
A bit of levity now to round out the show, and boy, could we use it after this week. Here's a glimpse into the future of sports. Kicked off in Beijing with the very first humanoid robot games. If you're expecting to see the robot takeover of athletics, and these are not the droids you're looking for, you can see one of them had to be carted off. The robots competed in soccer, as well as testing their speed in track and field, also showcased their creativity in dance competitions and music performances. The robots also marched around the track in a parade of teams. Overall, 500 robots comprising of 280 teams from 16 countries all took part, showed off their talents in a 3-day event. That is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Briscoe has the very latest in our late news at 11:30 after CTV National. And CTV News Atlantic.ca has our reporting over the weekend. We're going to leave you in Lunenburg, the jewel of the South Shore of Nova Scotia, with the names of everyone who brings you your newscast each night. I'm Todd Battis. See you Monday. Good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.